Welcome. My name is Brenda Kofal. I'm the Pre-K Program Manager and PED Focus Lead at the Public Education Department Literacy and Early Childhood Bureau.
And I am Alejandra Rebolledo Rea, the Bureau Chief for the Office of Child Development at Children, Youth, and Families Department. Thank you for your participation in the Early Learning Guidelines Dialogues. Together, we will continue building a strong system for our children in New Mexico.
As you know, the last major revision of the ELGs was in 2009. PED, CYFD, and 2 national consultants led focus groups around the state. Revisions were made based on stakeholder and consultants' feedback. At that time, we had 3 rubrics. Based on the user feedback, in 2011, 2 rubric levels were added, and in 2015, there were 8 rubric levels to accommodate our 3-year-olds. As a result of our Race to the Top grant, New Mexico was charged with creating a kindergarten entry assessment. We chose to use the pre-K observational assessment as the foundation, and in 2014, we contracted with WestEd to validate the proposed kindergarten observation tool.
As a result of this process, members of the Early Childhood Team of the University of New Mexico, Children, Youth, and Families, and Public Education Department, with assistance from a national early childhood research entity, in this case is WestEd, have been working on developing updates to the preschool early learning guidelines. The proposed updates are based on the following factors: alignment with the kindergarten entry expectations, feedback from the ELG users, such as you, new research in child development and learning, the need for language clarification, and to also correct some of the mistakes and errors that we found throughout the revisions.
The early learning guidelines belong to each and every one of you, and we want to make sure you're aware of these proposed updates, understand them, and have an opportunity to give your feedback, recommendations, and input.
Just as in 2009, we are now conducting early learning guidelines dialogues in several communities throughout the state. We're also going to be conducting 2 seminars, one in English and one in Spanish, and we want to encourage you to give us your ideas, input, and feedback for the proposed updates and the overall early learning guidelines. The following are proposed updates, and you're going to be able to see them at a glance, so please take the time to reflect on them and share your opinion.
For outcome number 1, we have essential indicator 1.1 and 1.2 have minor changes. The word exhibits has been changed to demonstrates. For outcome 2, we have replaced indicator 2.2b with indicator 2.1b because the language was more clear.
Domain 2, that reflects literacy, had minor changes as well. Some of them were clarification on wording, and some of them were based on some of the recommendations from our consultants. On outcome 5, we added 5.2 to just talk a little bit more about how the children will be following increasing complex directions. 5.4 is more into the demonstrating the understanding of new vocabulary and introducing new vocabulary. Those are new items that have been added based on recommendations that we have received. On outcome 7, we added some information related to how the child is holding their books, how they turn pages, and the overall conventions of reading. On 7.4, we took out the words using concepts of print.
For domain 3, numeracy, we added 9.1 to replace 9.2. 9.1 uses numbers and counting as a means for solving problems and determining quantity. For 9.3a, we clarified the language to say rote counts in sequence. We also added 9.3b, names and identifies written numerals, and this was in response to feedback from the field.
Domain 5, Scientific Conceptual Understanding. There were a couple of changes here, and some had to do with some clarification in language. On outcome 14, there was a change in language that provided more clarity, so we changed it from scientific methods to a process for inquiry.
For Domain 6, Self, Family, and Community, we added indicator 18.1, adapts behavior to fit different situations. And this again was in response to feedback from the field.